Welcome back. This is the Love Bug Show with me, Mercy Kiare. And before the break, we were talking about what are the traditional beliefs about marriage. Mr. Peter.
One of the things that was believed, which we have mentioned somehow indirectly, is that because the woman you are marrying is a commodity, is an additional labor, you are paying a deposit in the form of dowry. In the sense that if you are not satisfied with your wife, you can send her back and go back for your dowry. So you find traditionally the dowry was really like a deposit, for the labor that you have brought in, but it is not working. Yeah, but it's not so with the Christian marriage, because the Christian marriage is for life. The girl you are marrying is not additional labor; is a helper to help you in everything, for better, for worse. Not when she is very strong and able. It is for life. So that makes a lot of difference.
Okay, Mr. John Nganga, can you add something on that?
This is a very important topic, because a lot of people think they are in a Christian marriage, but they run it traditionally. So the belief system between what they do. For example, because in traditional belief, one major reason you married is to get children. It was the responsibility of the woman both to bear the child, look after the child, and the man was only supposed to look after the child once the child could walk around and go to greet the father. So you struggled with your baby. That's why traditionally, again, if your mother saw you holding a baby, they feel, what's wrong? My son is becoming feminine. Now, in a Christian marriage, the children are given to both of them. So both of them are expected to look after the babies right from the maternity. There are certain things the father cannot help in, the others he can. For example, he cannot breastfeed the baby. But there are many other things, including changing the nappies, which in a Christian marriage, because you are helpers to one another, will be expected to happen. But traditionally, the baby is supposed to stay with the mother. Next, in a traditional marriage, and it needs to be understood clearly, the woman was married by the clan. In a Christian marriage, you leave alone your clan. You leave even your father and mother to create a new one. In a traditional marriage, you came from your family and came to belong to the new clan. And because you now belong to the new clan, the whole clan participated in paying your dowry. Should your father die, should your husband die, you don't go back. You now are taken over by one of the relatives, the cousins, the brothers, normally the brother if there is a brother. But basically you belong to that home because you are bought. In fact, the Kikuyu word for it is, I bought you. I bought you. So you are bought. You belong here. But in a Christian marriage, the book of 1 Corinthians chapter 7, chapter 9, death separates us, and says as soon as your husband has died, the woman doesn't have to stay in that clan. She can go and marry, to quote the Bible, she can marry anyone as long as they belong to the Lord. So you can see in a traditional marriage, you came and you are bought, you stay, you belong to the clan. In a Christian marriage, you only belong to your husband. That doesn't mean you don't respect the cousins, doesn't mean you don't respect the parents, but they don't own you. The marriage will end the day your husband dies. Respecting them will continue, but you are not necessarily part of that marriage. You created a new home, and that will be the next. In a traditional marriage, as seen, the mother will be looking after the girls. The father will continue to be mentoring the boys, but sometimes the boy reaches a level where if he becomes a teenager, he is like now more important than the mother. He cannot really be seen to be obeying the mother. In a Christian marriage, you have to respect, until you go to your new home, your parents, you have to continue respecting and working with them. But when you create a new home, you create a new home. But as long as you are in this home, it will be, and you are not an adult, it will be important to understand the condition that will not make you leave home. To leave home, you have to be regarded as an adult, not to be circumcised. These days, because of the traditional beliefs, you find that when a boy who is only 13, 14 gets circumcised, now he can't take orders from the mother. That is traditional, but it's not biblical.
You're watching the Love Bug Show. Keep your SMSs coming on 0706 100 100 or our social media platforms. Our Facebook page is Champions TV Kenya. Mr. Peter, what are some of the modern behavior in weddings and marriage that contradict the Bible?
These days you find weddings are sort of become like a big show, and there is a lot of competition of who did the best marriage. And I've seen in some of the TV programs the wedding shows. And what happens is that in the process, there is a lot of pressure to have your wedding better than your friends. So it has made it so expensive because it's supposed to be a show rather than a time of ceremony to get the union together, that young men are shying away until they have enough money to start off their wedding arrangements. And you find, unlike now the old, these days when you want to wed, you find it becomes like you have to do some fundraising. You have to invite your friends, your relatives, your clan. They all have to come together, first of all, to bring dowry, but also to help for the wedding arrangements, which have become unnecessarily expensive. It's a waste of money, and some people have been forced even to take loans. And then you can imagine a family now starting, in the red with the loans. So it brings in a lot of conflict. And because of this peer pressure, there are some marriages, which, they start, in a few months they are gone. Because they cannot be able to reconcile how much they spend and what they are getting and what they are expecting. So that is a big problem these days. And because of this also, you find the young men are taking longer to marry because so much is expected of them in terms of paying for dowry and for paying for wedding arrangements. And because a young man doesn't have a lot of money, you find out it's only those people who have been working for some time who are really ready for wedding. But it is not supposed to be like that. You should be able to just spend as much as you have, not what you don't have. And so these days you find the wedding is not for the poor. So if a young man doesn't have a job, there can be no wedding, no marriage for him. If a young man doesn't have a job, he cannot be able to have a wedding ceremony unless he makes a fundraising, which is not supposed to be the case. The wedding is supposed to be, a time to celebrate, the union between you and your wife. It's not to show off to the public.
That's not the only thing that is challenging in today's wedding. Let's start with the way girl meets boy. These days, some people marry and they just met in the internet. My understanding of the scriptures, marriage is a personal relationship. And whereas I do not say that it is evil to meet in the internet, you should make no commitment to a picture, to a video, to a voice. You must meet the person themselves before any commitment. So if somebody wants to say, hey, you are my... No, we have never met. So because marriage is physical. In fact, the Bible puts it the language, says in heaven we shall be like angels. Because in order to emphasize the fact that marriage is a physical being, it's not spiritual at all. So if I have not met you, if I'm not going to meet you, we cannot claim to be starting a marriage. And that's something that you understand. So because you see, for this reason, a man shall live and be united to his wife. Surely, how are you going to live before you know who the other person is? So I'm thinking that current trend of thinking that you know someone and they are just pen pals, or who you write to, people you ring to, Facebook friends. Facebook friends are not friends. We need face to face to become friends. So I want to really emphasize that is something, the way we are coming to know each other is quite an issue. Remember, one of the requirements in a Christian marriage is that you cannot be unequally yoked with an unbeliever. How would you know that you are not being unequally yoked with an unbeliever? It will be because you have met that person over summer and winter. When he is facing an exam, when he has become rich, when he has no money. Before you say, I am marrying this guy or I'm marrying this girl, you must have a relationship enough to say that you know the person. And you can say, I'm not breaking God's command. I am marrying a Christian. And he is not a Christian because he told me on Facebook that he is born again. I've walked with him. I have prayed with him. I now know he is born again. Only then would I be becoming. That's only stage one, where we are talking about how you get. The second thing that has happened is living after you have engaged, living in such a way that there is very difference between marriage. I think, oh, that means if you are engaged, the girlfriend can come and stay over. Is it called a sleepover? Have a sleepover in my house. Even if you claim you did not sleep on the same bed, therefore you did not consummate your marriage. Basically, that cannot be a biblical thing, because the Bible puts the standard very high. It says, if you think of a woman lustfully, you have already committed adultery. That means when you are engaged but not yet married, you must live in such a way that you do not encourage that mental marriage, consummating marriage, saying in the mind, even if you don't do it physically. It therefore means, as a Christian boy and girl who are actually engaged, you have to live in the clarity that you are not yet married. Therefore, you cannot be, to the two of you, hidden in a room if you don't want to tempt. By the way, that's a very tricky thing, in the sense that if you can actually be with your girlfriend and nobody is there, you are just, and you lock the room, and you don't get tempted, obviously it means you should not get married. Because one of the ways of knowing you should be marrying each other is your bodies will say so. So, if you are not getting interested in the girl despite the fact that you are just the two of you, it means you really have a problem physically. Now, if you get tempted, it's bad. If you fall on temptation, it's evil. So can you see why a lot of the traditions and cultures that are coming, where people have created a culture it's like a boy and a girl are not any different. So when they are engaged, they are together, they meet out at the church, they embrace each other and squeeze each other in the name of the Lord, quote unquote. Now obviously, there will be an issue. There will be an issue in that way. The way engagements are being carried. And it's a surprise that we are getting many people getting pregnant, and some even getting HIV/AIDS. But then the clever ones don't end up there. They use gadgets to prevent the girl getting pregnant. But you see, the Lord knows the truth and knows the way you are living is evil. You are pretending not to be married, and yet you are really married. And that's called immorality. I think it's important to understand then, in asking what are the kind of activities and behaviors now happening that are not biblical. That's one of them. Let's come now to the issue of dowry. It's become really commercial. My understanding is, like Peter has said, we need to find a way of returning back to where we are beginning a marriage and it's not commercial.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. We have come to the end of our show. Let's meet next time, same place, same time. Have a good night.